So good morning, another founder in car. Today we just performed a school run, and for the school run it's nice that you have a car with 5 doors, especially if you're taking with you more than one child. So back to the plan, and in this case we will discuss about investment in different ages. So why are there different ages or different situations and also different investments? For example, if you have very little, especially for most people in their youth, then it's good to often go with something with high risk but also high returns. So what this means that you have a high risk to lose it, but you have little. So of course you can lose all, but still little. Or you can get high returns, and then that little bit that you have can make an impact. So examples for this are stocks, but especially crypto coins, which have a very volatile nature, so they can go very much up, but can also go very much down. So that's one of the things why, especially with the youth, this is a big thing. And then when you get older, oftentimes you get a little bit more, or you have a little bit more, and you want to spread the risk a little bit. So for example, to be extremely safe, oftentimes one would look into multiple asset classes. So for example, 25% volatile, 25% in real estate, for example your own home, and 25% in for example stocks that give their dividend, and 25% sometimes, but this especially for those that are really rich, into specific type of metals. So for example they go to precious metals like gold or silver, or stuff that is quite rare, that is now being used in the industry, for example lithium, or even something that's more radioactive. And of course you're not going to keep that yourself, but they have the rights to that then. So what they try to do when they have more is that even if one asset class is completely failing, so for example these precious metals are lacking a little bit, which is a bad example because normally those precious metals are more there to keep everything in condition. So for example gold will fluctuate a little bit, but it'll always be a constant, whereas other things, and I will now make the example with something that is not as constant. For example, if you have a little bit of stocks and the stock market is collapsing, of course this will take a big hit, but this will only affect 1/4 of your total assets. Whereas for example that precious metals will still be on, of course the liquid amount of money that you have can then be invested, for example in those stocks, because they are now at a low. So buy low and sell high, it's the principle. But also for example that real estate might still be very good, and even if two classes, so for example stock market and real estate, are collapsing, you still can use that 25% of money that you have to invest then in real estate or stocks or something else, and to make use of that crisis, so to say. So that's what the rich people oftentimes do, and this is different than the youth, because the youth is, as I mentioned, very limited. It's hard to spread the little that they have, and also it will take quite some time to manage it. That's another thing. If you have a considerable amount of assets, then it's not that hard that you put a little bit time in it. But when you are talking about 100 or 1,000 euros and you spread it over 4 classes, of course this will still be manageable and still can be good, but it is still a small amount to manage, of course. But there are other reasons to give you an idea that still the 25% rule, even when you have very little, can be beneficial to start with. And why? So for this example, when you have 100 euro or 1000 euro, that's easier perhaps, you have 250 euros free cash. So when those crypto that normally you would invest everything in, for example, will go down, you still have 250 euro. That, for example, when the crypto went down 50%, so instead of being worth 1000 euro, it's then worth 500 euro, but you invested only 250, so it's now worth 125. So the difference is then 375 euro only in crypto. But then because you have 250 euro in cash and you invest that at that moment when it's very low in a crypto, the 250 euro plus that 125 euro is already 375 euro, which is almost the same as the 1000 euro that invested in the other scenario, but has now been decimated to 50%, which is 500 euro. You only have 125 euro less. And for example, if you have then in the other scenario still those other two classes at 250 euro in for example some stocks and 250 euro also in, for example, real estate that you have bought into a fund or something else, you can imagine that you are far better off. On the other scenario, of course, if the crypto has just took a hike and went from 1,000 to 2,000 euros, of course your crypto scenario only took 100% up, so that 250 is then 500 euros. And of course, if it's so volatile, most people, especially with a limited amount of resources, choose for a simple design. But I just wanted to demonstrate that it could also benefit even when you are starting to differentiate your asset portfolio a little bit. Have a great day. Bye bye.